Picture this. The world outside my window is a blur of white and gray, a canvas of endless snow stretching into the horizon, and I'm sitting in the back of a sleek black car, the hum of the engine the only sound breaking the stillness. My name is Megan, and at 35, I've built a life that looks perfect from the outside, polished, predictable, safe. But beneath the surface, there's a current of something restless, something hungry for more. I've always been the quiet one, the observer, content to watch life unfold rather than seize it. Curious, yes, but cautious. That's probably why I fell so hard for Ethan, my husband of 8 years. He's 38, a force of nature, an entrepreneur who doesn't just walk into a room, he commands it. There's an intensity to him, a need for control that both draws me in and keeps me on edge. I love him for it, even when it unnerves me. Our life together is a well-oiled machine, every detail meticulously planned by Ethan. From the vacations we take to the dinners we host, he's the architect, and I've always trusted his vision. Our home in the city is a showcase of success, gleaming surfaces, modern art on the walls, a view that makes people gasp. But there's something unspoken between us, a space we've never dared to explore, desires we've hinted at in late-night whispers but never acted on. I've felt it for years, that pull towards something beyond the routine, and I think Ethan has too. So when he came to me a few weeks ago with a glint in his eye and an invitation to a private retreat, I didn't ask too many questions. I didn't need to. His excitement was contagious, and I've learned to trust his surprises. He told me it was exclusive, a getaway for a select few, tucked away in a secluded mountain house in the Rockies. Just the thought of it sent a shiver down my spine, not from the cold, but from the promise of the unknown. I've always craved escape, a break from the rhythm of our days, and Ethan knew it. He painted a picture of luxury and mystery, a chance to step outside ourselves for a while. I packed my bags with a nervous thrill, imagining crisp mountain air and nights by a roaring fire, though I had no idea what was really waiting for us. All I knew was that Ethan had planned every detail, as he always does, and I was along for the ride. The journey here felt like stepping into a dream. A private driver picked us up before dawn, whisking us away from the city as the first light touched the skyline. The road wound through the mountains, snow-dusted peaks rising like silent guardians on either side. I pressed my face to the window, watching the world transform into something wild and untamed. Ethan sat beside me, his hand resting on my knee, his face unreadable, but his energy electric. He didn't say much, just offered a small, knowing smile every now and then, as if he could see something I couldn't yet grasp. We finally arrived at the mountain house after hours of winding roads, and as I stepped out of the car, the cold bit into my skin, sharp and invigorating. The house loomed before us, a sprawling structure of timber and stone, nestled against the jagged peaks like it had grown out of the mountain itself. It was breathtaking, but there was something about it, something heavy, almost secretive, in the way it stood so isolated from the world. Inside, the air was warm, carrying the faint scent of pine and aged leather, a comforting contrast to the icy world beyond the walls. I took in the interior with wide eyes, my boots echoing softly on the polished wood floors. Dark wood beams crisscrossed the high ceilings, giving the space a rustic grandeur, while a massive stone fireplace dominated the grand central room, its hearth cold for now, but promising a roaring blaze later. Plush velvet furniture in deep emerald and burgundy hues invited you to sink in, to lose yourself in their softness, but there was an odd stillness to it all. No hum of conversation, no clatter of staff preparing for guests, just silence, thick and unbroken. I ran my fingers along the edge of a carved wooden table, noticing the absence of the usual retreat trappings. No schedules pinned to a board, no welcome packets with itineraries, not even a sign-in sheet. It felt deliberate, like we were meant to be unmoored, left to drift in this strange, luxurious limbo. Ethan was different here. I could sense it the moment we crossed the threshold. His usual commanding presence had sharpened into something more intense, his eyes glinting with a purpose I couldn't quite read. He caught my gaze as we stood in the grand room, and his lips curled into a faint, enigmatic smile. "No ordinary dinners or formalities this weekend, Megan," he said, his voice low, almost a murmur. "Just an experience, tailored to us." His words sent a flutter through me, a mix of unease and intrigue that settled in my chest. What did he mean by that? I wanted to ask, but something in his tone told me to wait, to let it unfold. Not long after, I heard the crunch of tires on snow outside, and soon the heavy front door creaked open, admitting a small group of men, 4 of them, all polished and confident, their tailored coats dusted with flakes of snow. I didn't know their names yet, but there was an air of familiarity between them and Ethan, a shared ease that made me feel like the outsider. They offered brief, polite introductions, their voices smooth, their handshakes firm, but their eyes lingered on me a little too long, assessing in a way that made my skin prickle. Ethan watched it all with a quiet satisfaction, his posture relaxed but his gaze sharp, like a conductor observing his orchestra. I told myself they must be business associates or old friends, though I'm standing in the center of the grand room now, the heat of the roaring fire at my back, casting flickering shadows across the dark wood floors. The air feels heavier than before, charged with something I can't name, as 13 men form a loose circle around me. Their presence is overwhelming, each one stepping closer, their faces illuminated by the amber glow. I hear their names for the first time as they approach, murmured in low tones. Julian, Marcus, Victor, Daniel, Liam, Sebastian, Adrian, Theo, Roman, Elias, Gideon, Caleb, and Nathan. Each name lands like a stone in still water, rippling through the silence. Their eyes are on me, intense and unreadable, and I feel the weight of their collective gaze pressing against my skin. My breath catches in my throat, shallow and uneven, as I try to steady myself. Ethan sits in an armchair by the fire, his posture deceptively relaxed, one leg crossed over the other, but his eyes, they're piercing, cutting through the dim light, fixed on me with an intensity that makes my pulse race. The silence stretches on, thick and suffocating, until Ethan finally speaks. His voice is low, deliberate, each word chosen with care, slicing through the tension like a blade. "There will be no ordinary formalities here, Megan. No meaningless chatter or polite games. This retreat is about desire, mine, yours, and theirs." He gestures subtly to the 13 men surrounding me, his expression unyielding. I've invited them for a purpose, for us. My mind reels, stumbling over his words, trying to grasp their meaning. Desire? Theirs? My body freezes in place, rooted to the spot, as the reality of what he's saying crashes over me like a wave. I can't move, can't speak, can barely breathe as the room seems to tilt beneath my feet. Ethan rises from the armchair, his movements slow and deliberate, and crosses the short distance between us. The firelight dances across his face, highlighting the sharp angles of his jaw, the glint in his dark eyes. He stops just inches from me, close enough that I can feel the warmth of his breath, and reaches out to touch my face. His fingers are gentle, a stark contrast to the weight of the moment, tracing the curve of my cheek with a tenderness that disarms me. Then he leans in, his lips brushing against my ear as he whispers, "I want to see you transform with each of them, one by one." His words send a jolt through me, a mix of ice and fire racing down my spine. Transform? With each of them? My thoughts spiral, a chaotic storm of confusion, betrayal, and fear. But beneath it all, there's something else. A dark, undeniable curiosity that I can't suppress, no matter how much I try. I stand there, caught in the tempest of my own emotions, torn between the love I've always felt for Ethan and the trust I've placed in him for so many years. How could he orchestrate something like this without a word of warning? How could he look at me with such tenderness while asking me to step into something so unthinkable? My heart pounds against my ribcage, each beat echoing in my ears, as I wrestle with the surreal pull of the moment. Part of me wants to scream, to run, to demand answers, but another part, a quieter, hidden part, feels the allure of the unknown, the forbidden. It's a side of myself I've never dared to acknowledge, let alone explore. And yet here it is, stirring awake in the heat of Ethan's gaze and the silent anticipation of the men around me. I don't know how long I stand there, lost in the storm of my thoughts, but eventually, I manage a small, trembling nod. Words fail me, but the gesture is enough. Ethan steps back, his expression unreadable, and I see the first man, Julian, move forward from the circle. His approach is cautious but confident, his dark eyes searching mine for permission, for any sign of hesitation. I don't pull away, though every nerve in my body is alight with uncertainty. His touch is tentative at first, his hand brushing against my arm, warm and steady, grounding me in a moment that feels like it's slipping through my fingers. My skin prickles under Julian's touch, a quiet electricity that I can't ignore, and as I stand there, the weight of what's happening begins to settle over me like a heavy fog. One by one, they come forward, each of the 13 men bringing a different energy, a different piece of something I didn't know I was missing. It's as if they're mirrors, reflecting fragments of desires I've buried so deep I barely recognize them as my own. Some are gentle, their presence a soft whisper against the chaos in my mind, while others are commanding, their intensity pulling me under like a riptide. I'm caught in the current, unable to resist, unable to fully understand what's driving me forward. Marcus is next, his quiet intensity almost suffocating as he steps close. His eyes are dark pools, unreadable, and when he leans in, his voice is so low I can barely make out the words over the pounding of my own heart. He whispers something, a secret meant just for me, but it's lost in the rush of blood in my ears. My chest tightens, my breath hitching as I try to focus, to catch even a fragment of what he's saying, but it's no use. All I feel is the heat of his breath against my skin, the way his presence seems to fill the space around me, leaving no room for anything else. I'm trembling now, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of sensation, the way each moment seems to peel back another layer of who I thought I was. Then there's Victor, whose touch lingers in a way that sends shivers cascading down my spine. His fingers graze my shoulder, deliberate and slow, as if he's mapping every inch of my reaction. His eyes lock with mine, a silent challenge, and I feel exposed, raw, like he can see straight through to the parts of me I've kept hidden even from myself. It's unnerving, but there's a thrill in it too, a dangerous edge that makes my pulse race faster. I don't know how to reconcile the guilt that surges through me with the heat that follows in its wake. Guilt for Ethan, for our marriage, for the vows I've held so close, but it's drowned out by this growing sense of liberation. A wild, reckless freedom I've never allowed myself to feel before. It's intoxicating, and I hate myself for how much I crave it. Through it all, I'm hyper-aware of Ethan in the background, his presence a constant anchor even as it unsettles me. I catch glimpses of him between the shifting figures of the men, seated back in that armchair by the fire, the camera lens in his hands a cold, unblinking eye. He's filming this, capturing every moment, every flicker of emotion that crosses my face. His expression is unreadable, a mask of control, but his eyes, they burn with something I can't name. Is it desire? Jealousy? Pride? I can't tell, and that uncertainty gnaws at me, adding another layer of tension to the storm inside. Does he see me differently now? Does he regret this? Or is this exactly what he wanted? To watch me unravel under the weight of his design. My mind is a battlefield, guilt crashing over me in relentless waves. What does this mean for us? For the life we've built together? I've always trusted Ethan's vision, followed his lead, but this feels like a line we can't uncross. And yet, even as I question everything, there's a part of me that's breaking free, shedding the skin of the cautious, quiet Megan I've always been. I feel it in the way my shoulders square, in the way I meet each man's gaze, even as my heart races with uncertainty. It's a thrill I can't deny, a dark, forbidden rush that courses through me with every touch, every look, every breath. Time slips away from me as the night deepens. The fire in the hearth dims, its once roaring blaze reduced to glowing embers, casting long, wavering shadows across the room. My body feels heavy, almost weightless at the same time, as if I've been untethered from reality itself. I'm still standing in the center of the grand room, the silence now so profound it's almost a presence of its own. The intensity of the past hours lingers in the air, a ghostly echo of touches and glances that have left me raw, exposed, and strangely alive. My skin still hums with the memory of it all, every nerve ending alight with a sensation I can't quite name. The room feels emptier now, the men having slipped away into the shadowed corners of the house, their footsteps fading into nothingness. It's just me and Ethan, the space between us charged with unspoken truths. I watch as Ethan sets the camera down on the small table beside his armchair, the lens no longer watching, no longer capturing. The act feels final, like closing a chapter, though I know deep down this is far from over. He rises slowly, his movements deliberate, almost reverent, as if he's approaching something sacred. My body tenses instinctively, bracing for judgment, for anger, for some kind of reckoning I've been dreading since this began. I can feel my shoulders hunch slightly, my breath catching in my chest as I wait for his words to cut through the quiet. But when I meet his gaze, there's no trace of jealousy, no flicker of resentment. Instead, his eyes hold something else, something fierce and proud, a desire so deep it seems to burn from within. It's disarming, this look, and it sends a shiver through me that has nothing to do with the cooling air in the room. He steps closer, each footfall measured, the polished wood creaking softly under his weight. I can't move, can't look away, as he stops just inches from me. His hand reaches out and I flinch slightly, expecting something harsh, but his touch is gentle as he brushes a stray strand of hair from my face. His fingers linger against my cheek, warm and steady, and then he pulls me into him, his embrace both possessive and tender, a paradox that mirrors everything I've felt tonight. My face presses against his chest, and I can hear the steady thrum of his heartbeat, a grounding rhythm in the chaos of my thoughts. His arms tighten around me, not in restraint, but in a kind of claiming, as if he's reminding me, and himself, that I'm still his, no matter what's transpired. I'm overwhelmed by a rush of conflicting emotions, each one crashing over me in waves I can't control. There's relief, sharp and sudden, that he's not pushing me away, that this hasn't broken us in the way I feared. But there's shame, too, a heavy weight that sits in my chest, whispering reminders of the boundaries I've crossed, the vows I've stretched to their limits. And yet, beneath it all, there's an unexpected warmth, a quiet acceptance that blooms as Ethan tilts my chin up to meet his gaze. His eyes search mine, and then he leans in, his voice a low whisper against my ear. "I've never been more captivated by you, Megan," he murmurs, and the words hit me like a physical force, stealing the air from my lungs. There's no anger in his tone, no regret, only a raw, unguarded honesty that strips away the last of my defenses. I can't help but admit it to myself, even if the thought feels like a betrayal of everything I thought I knew. I liked it. I don't regret it. Even with the weight of what I've done pressing down on me, Even with the lingering guilt that claws at the edges of my mind, there's a part of me that feels liberated, unleashed in a way I never imagined possible. I've spent so long being the quiet observer, the cautious wife, the woman who follows the script Ethan writes for us. But tonight, I stepped off the page, and I can't deny the thrill of it, the power I felt in letting go. It's a dangerous realization, one that scares me as much as it excites me. But it's there, undeniable, pulsing through me with every breath, standing there in Ethan's arms, the weight of the night still clinging to me like a second skin. I feel the world slowly come back into focus. We've moved now, away from the center of the grand room, settling near the dying embers of the fire. A thick wool blanket drapes over our shoulders, its coarse texture grounding me as we sit side by side on the plush velvet couch. The heat from the fading flames is barely enough to warm my hands, but Ethan's presence beside me radiates a different kind of warmth, one that both soothes and unsettles me. My body aches in a way I've never known before, every muscle heavy with exhaustion, as if I've run a marathon through uncharted terrain. My limbs feel like lead, my skin still tingling with phantom sensations, echoes of touches that have left their mark. But my mind, my mind is a storm that refuses to quiet. It's alive with questions, buzzing with thoughts I can't pin down, each one darting just out of reach before I can make sense of it. I stare into the embers, watching as they pulse with a faint, dying glow, their light casting long shadows that dance across the dark wood floor. What have I become in these last few hours? I've always thought of myself as steady, predictable, the woman who colors inside the lines. But tonight, I crossed a boundary I didn't even know existed within me, stepped into a version of myself I don't recognize. And I can't go back. There's no unseeing what I've seen, no unfeeling what I've felt. This retreat, this orchestrated descent into the unknown, has changed me in ways I can't yet articulate. It's as if a door has been flung open inside me, revealing a dark, endless corridor I'm both terrified and desperate to explore. I glance at Ethan, his profile sharp against the dim light, and I wonder if he knew this would happen, if he saw this hidden part of me long before I did, if that's why he brought me here, why he crafted this night with such meticulous care. His hand rests on mine now, his fingers tracing slow, deliberate circles on my palm. The gesture is intimate, almost too tender for the weight of what we've just experienced, and it sends a shiver through me that I can't suppress. His touch is a quiet anchor, pulling me back from the edge of my spiraling thoughts, but it also ignites something else, a flicker of that same dangerous allure that has haunted me all night. I turn my head slightly, meeting his gaze, and his eyes are dark pools, unreadable yet piercing, as if he's looking straight through to the core of me. His voice breaks the silence, low and rough, carrying a weight that makes my chest tighten. "Next time, I want more of them," he whispers, his words hanging in the air like a promise or a threat. My breath catches, a sharp intake of air that I can't hide, as a mix of dread and excitement churns in my gut. More? The thought alone sends my pulse racing, my mind conjuring images I'm not ready to face. What does more mean to him? More men? More intensity? More of me, laid bare in ways I haven't even imagined yet? I don't know, and the uncertainty is a blade, sharp and cold, pressed against my skin. I don't respond. I can't. Words feel inadequate, too small to capture the storm inside me. But my silence speaks for me, a tacit agreement, a surrender to whatever lies ahead. I feel the weight of that silence settle between us, heavy and charged, as his fingers continue their slow dance across my hand. There's a part of me that wants to pull away, to demand answers, to draw a line in the sand and say, "This far, no further." But there's another part, louder now, that craves the unknown, that hungers for the next step into this shadowy territory we've stumbled into. It's a pull I can't ignore, a dark magnetism that draws me toward Ethan's vision, toward the depths he seems so eager to explore. And I hate how much I want it. How much I'm already wondering what lies beyond the veil of mystery, even as I take that first step into the abyss with him. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.